Welcome to day 2 of Worldwide TV. I'm your host, Alyssa Rockel. We're here in Auburn, Indiana, right next to this amazing boat tail speedster. It's an Auburn, made in, of course, Auburn. We've got tons of cars to show you today, all leading up to the auctions tonight. Everything gets underway at 3 p.m. with the memorabilia auctions, and then the cars start at 5 o'clock. You don't want to miss it, so keep it here on Worldwide TV. I'm here now with Rod Egan, Principal and Chief Auctioneer of Worldwide Auctioneers. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that people will see here at the auction today?
Well, they'll see a ton of stuff, a great variety, and that's kind of the beauty and the magic that's Auburn is everything that you get to see. So if you're a car guy or gal, you can see just about anything. It's phenomenal. So we'll have some cars, more early cars from the teens, early 20s, and that Packard Museum collection that we have that are phenomenal. The twin sixes, which are the first 12 cylinders, for Packard. You're going to get into the 30s where you have the classic era cars, the Grand Classics. Some of my favorite cars are all from the classic era. Without a doubt. You get into the 40s, 50s, you got some American cars. We've got some European sports cars, Ferraris, the Elvis. We've got muscle cars, so if you like Shelby, GT500 KR convertible, stuff like that. Race cars with the other Shelby, right through the Miller race car. I mean, it's just, there really is a complete spectrum. Absolutely anything you would want to see, there's a good chance you'll find it here.
Truly something for everyone.
Yes.
What is the charm of being here in Auburn, Indiana?
Well, I think it's several-fold, and I'm privileged to have had the chance to live in Auburn, so I know what it's like to be a local. I mean, I lived here for 2 or 3 years. Most of my life, I lived other places. So my perspective, I think, on Auburn is genuine because that I can combine those two things. And so as a guy that goes to car events all the time, Auburn is truly, always has been, one of my favorite, historically, because it's so significant, being one of the first ever, is certainly with the auctions. And then I love, like the concours, the shows. What people consider to be the Super Bowl of the concours is the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance. So we were just there 3 weeks ago. It is an incredible show. It's gotten so big that it's hard to get around. It's not easy to park. It's that grand. It's that good that it's one of those things that you just got to be patient. It's worth it, but you got to be patient. And it's more corporate and more formal. And what I love, and generally all the car guys that have ever been to Auburn love about Auburn, is you're going to come to Auburn and you get to let out a big exhale and you're just going to hang out and talk about cars, right? So the ACD show, the meet on Saturday, is second to none. It's incredible. Friday night downtown, around the square, around the courthouse, as you know what that's like. Everybody just kicks back and shares car stories, and there's no agenda other than to just be car people, and that's what I love most about Auburn, is the true passion. And you're going to get guys that have $30,000 cars and guys that have $3 million cars, and they're all parked down there around the square, and they're all talking about what they love about their cars, and nobody's more important than the other. Like, you share that same passion, and it doesn't matter what your car is. You just relate so well. And I think for me, Auburn is a very pure car person place to be.
Yeah, an amazing experience to actually come and be part of that.
Oh, yeah.
And if somebody can't make the trip to Auburn this weekend, but they want to participate in the auction, how can people bid from home or somewhere else? Yeah,
very simple. The two easiest ways, there's 3. So the 2 easiest ways are online. So you go to our website, worldwideauctioneers.com, and you can bid online literally from your computer. You can register to bid. Or you can register to bid as a telephone bidder. And what that allows you to do is we call you right before the car comes up. One of our specialists, our people, will be up on the phone desk at the auction block, and they'll be like, hey, the car you're interested just came up. Here it is. Oh, and you know, do you want to bid X amount? And it's really simple. You just follow along. They bid for you, just like that from the telephone. And if all goes well, you end up and you take it home. The other option is you can just say, you know what, I can't be there, but I would pay X amount for a car. Sign it and send it in, and it's called an absentee bid. But most people like to be involved a little bit. So even if it's just clicking yes on that keyboard, you get that little hit of adrenaline in front. Or if they want to be on the phone and listen to it, hear it, do it live as it's all happening, you get to do that too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Auctions are so exciting.
Yes.
Yeah. We're looking forward to that. But before the auction,
Yes.
we're going to take a look at some of the cool cars that we have.
Yes, we are. Walk around some great cars. You're going to love it.
All right. Let's go. Okay, Rod, what's our first car?
Okay, first car in the fun category, Austin-Healey. So this little Healey is one of very few. It's a 100M, and they call them the Le Mans car. And they're dubbed Le Mans cars because of Healey's success at the track at Le Mans. And 640 of these were built total.
Wow.
For the entire world market. So
Wow.
This is one of them, the original 640. It's got all the documentation, so it's proved to be one of the originals, which is huge. But what I like about this car most is drivability, and like I said, the fun factor.
Yeah.
So it's way cool. So I'm 6'3". I fit in this car and can drive it easily. Windscreen down in racing form, I'm eating some bugs for sure, but I'll take that trade-off any day.
But it slides up,
But
you
it
said.
does slide back
Okay.
up. If you want to
Okay.
just, you know, in more of a pedestrian fashion.
Yeah.
It'll be much more protective.
Okay.
But this is how it was born to be, just like this.
Wow.
Great car. They're not huge money, so for collectors that aren't, you know, people seem to have this misconception that anything old is worth massive money, and in some cases they're right, but not always. So it kind of fits into that group of cars where you can buy this, enjoy it, and like I said, it drives well. I've driven the car. If you're a person that likes to drive their stuff, this is a perfect car to do it. It's tons of fun.
Yeah, I was surprised at how far the legroom goes
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah.
Very cool. All
Yeah.
right, let's check out what's next.
Absolutely.
All right, this is a beautiful car.
Absolutely, yes.
Wow, what is it?
So we go from the little fun car, the Austin-Healey, to what I call the grand cars, the grand classics. So this is classic era, 1934. And this is a custom bodied car, and I'll get into the particulars about it, but they only made 4 of these
Wow.
in 1934. So it's a Dietrich custom body. So back in the 30s, late 20s, it wasn't uncommon for the factories to build cars. You got your chassis, you got your engine, and then you would pick a custom coach builder to put the body on your car and have it
Okay.
designed. So this is one of those custom designed cars. So it's much different from most 34 Packards, and there's a lot of reasons why. Most of it is in all the design, of course. 12-cylinder Packards are known to be absolutely phenomenal driving cars. They're absolutely excellent. 34 is arguably the best year. It's as good as any year in the classic era for cars. So this kind of ticks all the boxes of the right car, the right time, when it was built. And for drivability, I've driven this car personally more than 200 miles.
How was it?
Phenomenal. It drives so well. It comes out of a collection where the owner drove all his cars.
Okay.
So what you've got is something that's been exceptionally well restored, been on the lawn at Pebble Beach. It's got all that criteria as a show car, but what a lot of guys don't always get is the mechanical part of it right, and this is dialed in extremely well.
It's got it all.
Yeah, it really does. And then, you know, I talked about some of the things, body style, design, and stuff like that. When you walk up, you see a V windshield. So when you look at a lot of other cars from the period, you don't normally see that.
Okay.
So that's common in a custom car. And then you start to see some of the design slopes this way. There's the hidden hinges. This door opens here. This door opens this way for easy entrance in and out. Dietrich body tag there showing that it was a Dietrich custom built car. That comes through here, and you end up with this convertible sedan body style. These come out, they literally pop right out. This folds down and lays flat, like a disappearing top would.
Okay.
Yeah, and then also a divider window.
Yeah.
in here as well. So you get that extra little bit of protection from the wind and or just some privacy if you're one of those people that had a driver and wanted somebody to drive you around, which you can still do today.
Absolutely.
So this car stands apart from many of the era and the time. You know, and I was talking about a lot of cars are much more affordable when we were talking about the Healey. This is a car that's north of $1 million. So you start getting into a little bit different price point, right? So different people, different desires for the collections, what they'd like to have. But like I said, the ownership history is known from new. It's, I think, 4 owners. I think he's the 5th owner since 1934. It's incredibly well documented. And somebody's going to be really happy when they buy this on Saturday.
Every inch is beautiful.
It is.
Love it. All right, well, let's see another Packard.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. All right, this Packard is also very cool. I love it.
So again, this is a custom bodied car also.
Okay.
Different designer, so you can tell it's totally different in how it's made. So a couple of things that set this apart. First off, it's a 1942.
Okay.
So much newer, different in drivability, a lot of advancements from 34 to 42. So the drivability of this is fantastic. And also in 1942, obviously that was, you know, war effort. Hardly any cars were built at all in 1942 of any make. And there were only 15 of these built.
Wow.
In 42. So it's a very special car in terms of desirability, value, and again, we start talking about custom bodied cars, design cues. Again, you get a raked V windshield that's low. It's very sporty. So as cars got, you know, a little bit newer, that windshield goes back. It's a little sportier. Cut down doors. So that's a signature Dutch Darrin design cue.
Yeah.
All the Darrin cars have these sweeping doors or cut down doors. And then what I love about this is you've got this, the front end has such a presence.
Yes.
It's massive. It strikes you, but the detail, what I love about this, all the chrome trim and everything that complements the car, it all ties in so well. Every little bit of it, all through. It matches back here at the back. And then this is another car that doesn't matter what angle you're looking at it, it looks fantastic. And it all ties in back here at the end, which, again, signature Darrin on the side. And also this also comes from a collection where the owner loved to drive his cars, and I've also had the privilege of driving this car, and it drives very, very well. You can hardly hear it when it starts. It runs good, shifts good, brakes well. You know, I've done a lot of car tours. Generally the farthest tour we do is about 1,600 or 1,800 miles. We leave Kirkland, Washington, end up down in Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
I would feel comfortable if the tour was tomorrow, jumping in this and taking this car and driving it. Yeah, it's excellent.
How about to the grocery store?
Absolutely, that's a hell of a grocery getter.
I love it. And is that convertible too?
It is, yes. Again, that top will come down and it lays flat. Very pretty.
Very cool. Love it. Okay, our next car takes us to the racetrack.
Yes.
Well, if you've got a need for speed, this is your car, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Fantastic car, and really it's historically a very significant car. Arguably one of the most well-known and famous Americans in the world of motorsport is Carroll Shelby. The Shelby name is regarded and well-known throughout the world, obviously incredibly successful as a race car driver and then as a car builder, car owner, team owner, and this is the case with this car. So this is chassis 2469, started as a Cobra Roadster, and this was Carroll Shelby's personal car.
Wow.
And he had the Daytona Coupe body put on this chassis for the car to go racing. So the car's got a great race history, vintage racing. It's been driven by some incredibly well-known drivers. Phil Hill, a world champion driver, his son Derek Hill, there's Derek Bell, John Morton, Danny Sullivan, Brian Redman. There's some guys that have all had some seat time in this car, and the consensus from all of them is that it's a incredible car. The experience is incredible, and so this is a GT car that appeals to kind of in a way a broad but small range of people. So the people that love anything Carroll Shelby, whether you're a racer or not, this was Carroll's personal car, documented. We've got all the stuff that indicates that. this certainly is what somebody would, a Carroll Shelby, a Shelby collector. If you're more of a vintage racer and you want a GT car, you can take this vintage racing, and it's successful. Laguna Seca, it's won at Goodwood in the UK. So this is the kind of car that would get you invited to events literally all over the world. So a very, very special car with a great history. 2 weeks ago, almost 3 weeks ago in Pebble Beach, I actually spoke with Derek Hill about this car specifically.
Wow.
And he came up and he said, "Hey, you're selling my car." And I said, "Yeah, tell me, like, what can you share with me about the experience in the car?" And he said, "Well, it's one of the best experiences he had." And he's a very successful driver. And he said to be able to drive for Carroll Shelby and drive with my father over at Goodwood, he said was one of the most memorable experiences he's had as a race car driver. And he said he loved, in his words, throwing this thing around the track.
Wow.
Loved the power, the performance, the excitement, everything. And he was, you could see the passion in his voice when he was talking. So this is a very, very good car. Like I said, if you're just a Shelby collector, you want to buy Carroll's car. Can't do that very often, hardly ever, in fact. Or if you are somebody that likes GT cars, racing, it's going to be an excellent addition, without question.
Yeah, great car and
Yes.
even better story.
Yes.
Love
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Okay, let's see something with a little more European flair.
Absolutely. This way.
All right. All right, this is a beautiful car. This might actually be the only way I'll ever be taller than you, too. But tell us what we got here.
Bugatti. So 1938, this is a Type 57C. And of course, it's in the collector car world, the word rare is used maybe a little too much every now and again. Not in this case. Not in this case at all. This is an exceptional car. It's been shown around the world: Pebble Beach, the Quail, Amelia Island, Bagatelle. It's that kind of car. It's the kind of car that gets you invites everywhere, and for obvious reasons. So you're looking at a car that's got obviously an incredible restoration. The history of this car is known, and it's what I love about this car mostly is the body style is the rollback, or a Toireau they called it when they made it, and they're it's not known exactly how many of these are. It's a handful, like literally just several, and you hardly ever see them, and you certainly don't see them offered for sale. So this actually is now from an estate. The owner passed away a few weeks ago, and it's going to get sold. And this is one of those cars that can really define a collection. It's incredibly unique.
Yeah.
Also runs and drives well, and really comfortable. Jump in. I mean, it's.
This is beautiful.
Yes.
I feel like I could get behind this.
Oh yeah, well you look great in there.
Thank you.
And you can see the attention to detail and how well these cars were crafted.
Every inch of this is beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. And these cars, as beautiful as it is, these cars were built to drive.
Yes.
And were often raced. So it's an excellent road car. So it's a car that really ticks the boxes on a lot of functionality. It's not just pretty. It's not like having a Monet on your wall. You can drive this, and you will love the experience of driving a Type 57 Bugatti.
It's art that you can use.
Absolutely.
And I do love this feature. This is such a cool convertible top.
Right.
Wow.
Yes.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for showing us all of these cars.
Yeah.
Auction starts at 3 p.m. with memorabilia today, and at 5 p.m. for the automobiles. You don't want to miss it. Keep it right here on Worldwide TV.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Worldwide TV. Rod Egan here, sitting with Angelo, the editor of Old Cars. Welcome back to Auburn.
Yes, I love it here. It's my favorite place on earth.
It's most people say that they absolutely love Auburn. So.
Yeah, I'm going to retire here, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah?
I think so.
Good choice. Well done.
Dust cars at the museum.
Yeah, there you go. Be a docent and
Yep.
hang out with all the cars. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So speaking of cars, Auburn, known this Labor Day weekend, of course, for being car heaven.
Yes.
For everybody. What's your favorite part about the weekend?
Oh, I love going to the museum, of course,
Yeah.
seeing all the cars, hanging out outside and actually getting to see them run and drive.
Yes.
And of course, then the auctions. You know, your
Yes.
chance to actually take home a little piece of Auburn history.
Right. Yeah. Old history, right? I mean,
Yes, the good
first,
stuff.
The first auctions from here in Auburn. I mean, that's
Yeah, definitely.
love
This
the
is,
roots.
Yeah, auction history and car history on top of it. So it really comes together on Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, it really does. What have you had a chance to look around here much?
Yeah, I did a little bit last night
Yeah.
and again this morning, and kind of flipped through the catalog and tried to pick a favorite, but I couldn't. But
Yeah, that's a
you
great
know,
problem.
Yeah,
Right.
there's a lot of wonderful cars here. You know, an Adelante coupe. You know, I've only seen 2 or 3 of those, I think. So getting up close and personal
Yeah.
to an actual Adelante is fantastic. And
Right.
a Dietrich Packard and Duesenbergs, and I'm going to have an Auburn Speedster one day. So I'm trying to
Good
talk
for
my
you.
wife into the 32 8-cylinder you have.
Yes.
But no luck yet. But I'm working on it.
Yeah, good, good. What is there? Do you have an era? Any certain cars you like more than? I mean, it's
Yeah.
people ask me what my favorite is. It's impossible. I
Yeah.
love so many cars from so many different eras.
Yeah.
What's kind of in your wheelhouse? What do you like?
You know, I basically like about 1929, even up into the 80s. But
Yeah.
most of my collector cars, I would say, are from the 50s into the 60s. You know, everybody knows me for Cadillacs, and
Yeah.
I have Finn Cadillacs, 55s, a 62, 55 old. So I really like about 1955
Yeah,
to
yeah,
1964. But I love classics, and that's on the someday list, is to get probably an Auburn lottery car, Duesenberg, of course. But
Sure.
you know, I'll be perfectly content with an Auburn. So
Yeah, well, I mean, there's some incredible designs in Auburn's, Cords, and Duesenbergs. I mean, they're all so unique and different.
Yeah.
And like you said, I love how the tie into Auburn is. You know, many of them were built right here.
yeah, absolutely. And there's so many great cars just from the 30s. I love 30s cars, but
Yep.
Cadillacs and ACD cars are probably my favorite 30s cars. Fords.
Right.
You know, there's really nothing bad in the 30s. At least I can't think of anything
Right.
that's terrible. I don't just about any 30s car. So, and you have a wonderful selection of 30s stuff.
Yeah, and some of
it's
them you
spectacular.
even know. You've seen around before in collections, and we talked about the V12 Roadster. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. The red 31 V12
Yeah.
Roadster, Cadillac V12 Roadster, is actually a car pictured in my book that I did for Cadillac
Mm-hmm.
at its 100th anniversary. And so I photographed that car. I know its longtime owner well. It's
Yeah.
a magnificent car. I believe it was bought here in Auburn decades ago.
right.
So it has Auburn ties itself, and here it is again.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and that's a great car too. I mean, you mentioned the cars in the 30s, V12 Cadillacs. I've owned V12 Cadillacs before. I love how a V12 Cadillac drives. I prefer a 12 over a 16. I know 16s are grand and magnificent, and,
Yeah.
and they're the big dog.
Yeah.
But drivability of the 12s are my favorite.
Yeah, I've heard that from other people as well, and I know the consignor with the 31 Roadster, he actually had 2 of those and one
Right.
V16, which tells me he liked to drive V12s a
Sure.
little bit more too.
Yes. Yeah. He's had some great cars, as you know. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What else do you like?
Yeah, that's really the heart of it. I also like muscle cars.
Yes.
I was really into muscle cars as a kid. 50s cars still more so, but
Yep.
I love muscle cars. I've had Buicks. I drove old Buicks, muscle
Nice.
car era Buicks when I was in high school.
Oh, good.
And so I really love a 69 GS
Yes.
400 stage 1 4-speed bucket seat car is definitely one of my muscle cars that I would love to
Yes.
own one day. But Dodge Chargers, Roadrunners, GTOs, Mustangs. My dad and all of his brothers all drove muscle car era Mustangs in high school and still talk about them. And I know my dad would love to have a 67 again. So, yeah, it's, you know, when you're into cars, it's hard to say something that you don't like. But even 80s cars, I always have, and I have for the last 25 years, always had a 2-door 80s Caprice. And I get so much crap for it. but I just love them. And they're great everyday cars, and you can still get parts for them. I
Yeah.
even, find NOS stuff to upgrade them.
Right.
And so you know, I like so many different cars that this is an overload with all the selection you have here
Right.
and just what's here in Auburn over Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, there is. I mean, there really is. We've mentioned it before, walking around with people, about kind of something for everybody here. And I think that is reflected in the lineup. And what I like as a car collector myself, I drive whatever I own. I won't buy a car if I can't drive it.
Yes.
So for me, drivability is a big deal. And I'm seeing that more and more. Are you seeing that in the market where usability is becoming more and more important?
I hope so, because that means people who are buying Duesenbergs and V12 Packards are actually getting to enjoy them. I was just talking to a Pebble Beach store, and a young guy pulled up to the ACD Museum in a 31 Auburn sedan that he just bought, and the restorer said, I love unrestored original cars because you get to drive them. And, you know, that really goes to show you, here's a Pebble Beach restorer saying, where it's at is driving your car. You know, having cars you can drive.
Yeah.
You know, you could always repaint or fill in a chip or whatever, but that's the fun. You know, that's how you bond with the car, and that's how you meet other people in this hobby. And it's a wonderful hobby with wonderful people.
Well, let's be honest, it is better for the cars if you drive them.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Absolutely. The worst thing you could do is let a car sit.
Yes.
I just did an editorial about my own barn find. My first car, I put it in storage, kind of out of sight, out of mind, just pulled it out, and going through all the stuff it needs, and the worst thing is sitting. And I knew that, that's why we pulled it out, and sure enough, you know, it had deteriorated. But you have to drive them, and that's half the fun anyway. So.
Well, for me, it's most of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, John and I are fortunate. We ended up we had a car that was sold here a year or two ago, and we were able to acquire it after from the guy. He decided it was too old and it's an all original 31 Cadillac.
Oh, wow.
Victoria Coupe, 14,500 miles. And when I say all original, I mean it's all original.
Wow.
It's killer. So we're getting that where we can actually drive it. We're doing just sympathetic mechanical bits where we're going to keep it incredibly original, but I'm stoked to take that car out and drive it.
Oh, wow.
Just the way it is, yeah.
Oh, I'd love to see. Yeah, that's what it's all about. And in fact, when I buy cars now, a lot of times I try to find, I call them HPOF for the AACA, but, you know, unrestored originals, because there's just something about them, and they still have that feel that the factory built into it. You know what it's supposed to be like.
Yes.
And you don't have to worry about rock chips, you know, because there's 80 years of rock chips on it already, so what's a couple more, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's where it's at.
I'll take you back and show you that Cadillac after we're done here if you want.
I'd love to see that.
It's a neat timepiece for sure.
Oh,
It goes
wow.
way back. So what's next? Have you been to the museum, you said, or you're gonna go again?
Yep. I'm gonna be bobbing all around Auburn,
Everywhere.
trying to take in as much of it as I can. The ECD Club reunion stuff, the Parade of Classics, of course.
Love that.
I just caught the Hoosier Tour returning and saw the cars there. Hit up the auctions, doing some auction reporting. You know, trying to look at as many cars as I possibly can. And, you know, it's impossible to see them all, but I'm going to try.
Yeah, well, good for you. I'm not going to get to go see everything, so I may pick your brain a little bit after and see what else you like that I might have missed out on.
Yeah, I'm up to probably 300 pictures already, so
wow.
I'll have plenty to share. If there's anything you need to see, I've got it, I'm sure.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Stopping by, and let us know if we can help you out. We're obviously happy to do that.
All right, well, thank you so much. We appreciate everything you do for old cars as well, so it lets us do this kind of stuff. So we love it. So
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Hi, I'm Matt Toth, Executive Director of the J.Kruse Education Center. Thanks for being here with me today, and thank you for being with General Lee, one of 12 officially licensed vehicles from the Dukes of Hazzard TV series. And not only is it one of 12 officially licensed vehicles, it also sets itself apart by the fact that it has the autographs of the cast and crew of the TV series on the dash inside the vehicle and on the trunk on the back. So, what an incredible piece of pop culture that this is, and you have the chance to own it. Not only that, the sale of this vehicle will go to help students, K-12, and transitioning veterans find and discover their future by our coaching academy and an experience center unlike any other in the United States and practically the world for that matter. We help individuals discover their future through assessments and triangulating their strengths, their personality, and their career work style preferences to figure out what jobs best match how they're hardwired and how we can connect them to a life that'll be passionate and fulfilling for them. Make sure you're bidding on this piece of pop culture.
Now with Matt Toth, the Executive Director for the J.Kruse Education Center. Thanks for being with us here.
Thank you.
So why don't we start with exactly what is the Education Center? What do you guys do?
Yeah, so the J.Kruse Education Center is a career exploration facility that's designed to help K-12 students and transitioning veterans figure out and discover a future for them. We are not a school. We are a program that is supporting nonprofits and others and schools and other organizations. We bring individuals in. We have a career coaching academy that we help people find their strengths, their interests, career interests, and their personality. And through a values conversation, we target and hone in on what specific jobs they're hardwired to do for the rest of their life. So that's the career coaching piece, and we have an exploration center we're building out. The easiest way to describe it is it's a children's museum, but for big kids, and it's all career exploration based.
And that can be such a big question is, what do I really like to do and how can that translate into a career?
Yes.
And that's what you guys can help people figure out.
That's exactly what we help with, and that's what we do with individuals. I mean, everybody knows somebody who doesn't know what they want to do when they grow up. And so they're trying to figure out, where's my path? Where do I fit in? What am I good at? What jobs are even out there? And so our big purpose and big goal is the individual and helping the individual find and discover what's out there and what's available. And again, K-12 students and transitioning veterans. There's over 200,000 veterans per year that transition out of the service that don't necessarily have a clear path for next steps.
Right. Now more than ever, certainly you guys are needed.
Yes.
And we have a very amazing opportunity at the auction. A car will be auctioned off and the money will go toward the J.Kruse Education Center. So tell us about that auction.
Yeah, it's an incredible piece of pop culture that we have that is, the J.Kruse Education Center owns it as an asset. We're selling that to continue the funds that are needed to continue the good work that we have with veterans and K-12 students. And so the General Lee is up for auction. Very unique, one of 12 officially licensed vehicles from the Dukes of Hazzard TV show. It's got the signatures on the dash and on the rear, the tail trunk, and it's very unique, and it's something that you're going to want to own if you're a car enthusiast, and especially if you grew up in the era of Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, how has the proceeds from past charity cars been used at the Education Center?
Yeah, so like last year we sold the A-Team van, and those monies has been used and directed towards scholarship funds to help individuals who maybe can't afford to go through the coaching process. And so we've dedicated some of those funds for individuals who, you know what, they need a break, they need some help, they need a path, they need some direction and guidance. And so those funds have been used in that pool as a scholarship fund for individuals to get coached.
Yeah, Matt, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
so lot 46, everybody, make sure you bid on it often, because it's a double whammy. Not only do you get a cool car, but you get to help an amazing mission with the J.Kruse Education Center and really make a difference in people's lives.
That's right.
All
You got it. Exactly.
All right. Lot 46. It's no reserve, too, so bid it up.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Worldwide TV. Got a great guest we're going to chat to today. Andy Reid, a good friend, great car guy, ClassicCars.com, is joining us this morning. Good morning, Andy. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you doing, Rod?
Yeah, great. We are we're ready to go. Day one's great. Day two upon us now. So we're ready to get this underway again. I'm a guy like me as the auctioneer. I'm ready to go like all the time. If I could do it quicker, I'd want to do it quicker. I don't like all the time in between and all the setup and the waiting. So, but yeah, it's great here, and love being in Auburn. When was the last time have you been to Auburn?
Yeah, a bunch of times, but not for about 5-6 years.
Yeah, it's Auburn's back. It's pretty awesome. It's great to see a lot of people. Well, I saw you in Pebble, right? So
Yeah.
Here a couple of weeks ago, which was excellent. A lot of guys that were out at Pebble are here. Been talking to them, and they love how laid back Auburn is, and how easy it is to get around, and all the great stuff that comes with Auburn and the shows. And if you remember, there's with all the museums and the festival and the tours, and it's a packed car guy weekend for sure.
And the swap meet and all that stuff, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it is. It's great. So I understand you had a little trouble sitting around in traffic. You're out on the East Coast, New York.
Yeah.
I know you guys are hitting the news quite a bit. You and the family good?
Yeah, we're fine. House is good. We're in Connecticut. It just rained. We just got 7 inches of rain, which was not a big deal because we're high. So
that's plenty. Wow. So your recollections from Auburn, what were some of the things you liked most when you were at Auburn last?
Well, interesting thing is Auburn's kind of something for everybody. I mean, at the auctions for sure. If you want, I remember the last time I went to Auburn, somebody had a TR8 coupe for sale, and then somebody else had a Duesenberg for sale, and then somebody else had a 67 Camaro for sale. I'm like, it's kind of everything. I mean, I'm looking at your lot list. You've got a 53 Corvette, which is, first year Corvette, super low production. It looks like I was talking to Kevin McKay about it yesterday, and it's like a stellar example of such. You and I don't fit in those cars even close, but because we're both tall, and it doesn't. But someone's like, I was like, I'd love to have that. They go, what do you do with it? I said, just look at it all day. And you got the Miller, which is amazing. That Miller is astounding. IndyCar. Holy cow. 1 of 2, serial number 1. And then you've got a whole bunch of motorcycles, which is interesting. I was talking to our mutual friend Nick Smith about those. He's like, look at that R60. Holy cow. And so Nick's like, and look at this, and look at that. And so we were really kind of, that's a really interesting collection of motorbikes. I know you've got a bigger collection coming up, but that small set of 6-7 bikes, they're all perfect.
This week, you know how we do it. We like to have smaller numbers of great stuff. So I think those are all excellent examples, those bikes for sure. And of course, they would pique Nick's interest.
Yeah, he is, I think, registered to bid. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think following us for as many years as you have, we try to have a pretty diverse lineup too. Like you mentioned, the Corvette, and then we run the gamut, and we try to have a little bit of everything at a high level, of course. But
Healy 100M,
yeah. So, and that's reflected. I think safe to say it's reflected pretty well this time as well. So,
you've got the Miller, the Healy, you've got the Bugatti 57 Elanti, which is just breathtaking.
The
Elvis. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that I saw that I was like, wow. And then a bunch of tons of American stuff as well beyond just the Corvette.
Yeah. I mean, the Packard collection from last night was, that's all. It's such a cool group of cars, and I got to learn a lot about the history of a lot of those specific cars. It's really neat, the story of how they were acquired, and his passion when he did it, and that's another thing I love about Auburn is the passion that's evident. It doesn't matter if you've got a $3 million Duesenberg or like you said, a 67 Camaro. It's just guys who love cars, guys and gals, and family, which I love. Auburn's very family friendly. All the events here, and it's a blast for sure.
Yeah, it really shows how democratized the hobby can be too. Because again, you're talking about the guy with a '67 Camaro. There could be a guy with an '83 Z28, and he can be talking to the Duesenberg guy, and they're kind of on an equal footing. And that's an interesting situation because Monterey is not always that. So,
yeah, certainly a lot different in terms of less variety in the passion palette, right? That car guys have, and it's more centered on, you know, some very big, important cars generally, and outside of the Concours, it's largely all sports cars.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, what's interesting, when I went to Auburn the first time, I was stunned that I thought it would be all American Packards, Duesenbergs, and as well as like 50 Tri-5 Chevys and Tri-5 T-Birds and stuff.
Yeah.
And when I saw all this import stuff, I'm like, well, no one told me this was here. And that was really interesting because I didn't expect it. And then you turn around, you see something else, like, well, I've never seen one of those, or I've never seen one of those. And I know what that is, but this is the first time I've seen one. And that's kind of cool.
Yes, right. Yeah, it is definitely good for that. What I know you went through our lineup and looked at stuff. What do you what gets your motor running?
I like that first year Corvette so much. It's just so good. I talked to Kevin McKay about it, and we went through it online. And you know, he's like the restorer for those cars, and he's like, it's just perfect. And I'm like, well, that's great. And then the Miller is really cool. I fantasize myself taking that on some vintage racing. I thought it'd be kind of interesting, and trying not to die. I looked at that Bug 57 is just amazing, truly amazing. It's just the restoration's really, really good. I don't know who did it. It looks like Paul Russell or something. It's exceptional.
Did you see it when it was on the field at Pebble a few years back?
But the one that really caught my eye that's weird is that Alvis. That Alvis is kind of an oddball car because you got to know what it is.
They were, I mean, the Silver Eagle, the SG Tour was arguably their best car.
Mm-hmm. Pre-war for sure.
And size, power, like they're a very, very good car. And like you said, you don't hardly ever see them. And I think it's one that would make a great car on a tour if guys are, you know, in the mood, which most guys are more and more, thankfully, to drive their cars. It's an excellent car to do that with.
And it's an alternative to like something more expensive like the Lagonda or a Bentley. It's considerably more affordable than those are. And it's kind of an interesting thing that because less people are aware of this of the red triangle cars. And
correct. Yeah. And they're in person. They're bigger than they look in photos. A lot of people don't understand that it's a fair sized car, you know. And what I like about it is the variance. Like you can take that car on so many tours. You can take it on classic car tours. You can take it on sports car tours. I mean, you really have a wide spread of all the stuff you can do if you buy a car like that. And then, of course, if you like to be a guy that has something that no one else has on the tour, that's probably going to be that car.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing too about it, you know, like you're saying, it's such a versatile car. It's effectively a classic car Swiss Army knife. So you can take it to Pebble or Amelia.
Yeah.
Or you can take it on the Colorado Grand.
Correct.
Or you can take it to Vintage Le Mans or Goodwood, and it's eligible at all those places. And it's one car that does all that stuff. And it's hard to get that with a car. That's actually not a tiny little car that taller people can fit in, because they do look small. You think, wow, maybe it's a little about the size of an Aston International, but oh no, it's the size of a Lagonda,
right?
And that's a comfortable touring car.
Yeah, and that car is long time. I think if I remember correctly, was imported into the U.S. into the Pacific Northwest, where I live, out near Kirkland, Washington, and it's been out there a lot, and I have driven it. I've driven it several times when it was out there, and I loved it. And a guy my size, no problem. It's great.
And that's a big motor car too, so it's got some beans too. Yeah,
it does. Yeah, that's one of the things I like about that car, outside of the style and the look and the versatility, is it was made to drive. It's a driver's car for sure, so it performs really well. So it's a all-around great tour car for sure.
And like you said, you know, one thing COVID did is that it got people driving cars again, because they couldn't show them. So what else were they going to do with them?
Yes. Yeah, which has been great. And it's nice now to see everybody back out again. I was surprised how many people, when we were out at Pebble here a few weeks ago, it was like their first big trip out of the house-ish. You know, Amelia was sort of similar, you know, in May, but I talked to a lot of people that had not been to any car events until just at Pebble. So you could see all the enthusiasm there, and it's evident here again too. with all the people. The market was obviously strong at the auctions, which of course for a guy like me is always good news.
Yep.
And I think it's going to be very strong here based on the level of interest, the number of guys and the names, the who's who that have registered for some of these cars. I think we're going to, last night Packards are great. Tonight we've got some more, some good big stuff too. And I think it's going to do pretty well.
Well, you guys have been selling really well at your sales too. I mean, but everybody has, but you guys have been doing exceptionally well. So I've been paying attention because
having this facility has enabled us to do a lot of things that some other companies weren't able to do. We could pivot. We moved our Scottsdale sale back here into Auburn. I mean, our facility's 200,000 square feet, so we can ship cars in. We can ship them in 2-3 months before. We do photo shoots, and we've had, guys fly in and look, and if they don't want to be in a crowd with the COVID deal, they'll fly in, look at all their cars, and we'll talk to them, hey, calling you now, your lot's up. Guys will bid, and it's been great. And I don't think we've had a sale with less than a 92% success rate, I think, throughout this whole thing. Being able to have this facility. So we've expanded our online presence, of course, like everybody else. But it's been really good for us and the market to have this building. We're very fortunate that we can service the clients at the level that it takes. So it's been great.
Yeah, and not doing Scottsdale was probably really smart. I thought Scottsdale was too soon, as did many people. And the numbers it was the one place that we saw numbers down a little bit, I think, was Scottsdale live in person.
Yep.
And they sold stuff, but it didn't sell for necessarily, a lot of cars didn't meet lows in January when they tried to put the January thing together.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, it's way too soon. And everybody else thought so too, it turned out. So.
Sure. Yeah. And I think now, I mean, let's face it, we're living with COVID. It's never going away.
Nope.
So I think people just need to adjust their patterns and their lifestyles, and as their comfort levels, get better, people learn more about it. I think we're certainly much more on the track to normal. I mean, out at Pebble, California is, one of those states that was very aggressive with, masks and the social distancing, and they obviously had some areas, blow up pretty bad with high COVID rates. And I was surprised in Pebble how relaxed it was. Not that many people wearing masks, and of course it's changed, in the last week or two again. But that to me was a sign that people are just starting to learn, to live with this, and let's go live our lives now, right? Like, it's incredible to figure out how much your world can change in a year.
It's astounding.
And I think we're all faced now as, okay, let's enjoy ourselves. Let's go do some stuff that means the most. Do a lot of family stuff. I know for me, when I sat at home for the first few months, I was bitter, and then I thought, well, listen, dummy, this is actually a good thing. I get more time with my family, all this stuff. And when I made that mental shift, I mean, it was fantastic. So
yep.
I look forward to people being more comfortable. I always felt bad for everybody that had such anxiety, going through, and it's such a nice, refreshing thing now for me to see so many people they're comfortable, they're okay, they get it, and they're living lives, right? Which is good, which is the passion. That's what we're doing in this industry, right? Nobody needs these cars. This is for
it's
fun.
like back to summer camp, right? I mean, it's like we're all coming back to summer camp, and it's great. 'Cause I always think of our season, which is like, if people don't know, it's January through the end of October, early November.
Yes.
And then it starts again in January. But it's like this summer camp with gaps. You see all your friends, and then you go where you go, and then you see all your friends, and you go. But Monterey Week was definitely the culmination of that to a great degree. And really set the stage for what's coming next, I think, too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. What's we got Auburn now. There's going to be a little. What's next for you? You going anywhere? Going to any events after this? Or
going to Lime Rock at 9:30 this morning.
Yep.
I'm going for today and Sunday. I judge on Sunday. Then I go to Radnor for judging on Sunday.
I like Radnor.
Yeah. Then I have a break. Then I have the trifecta, I call it, which is Chattanooga, Greenwich, Hilton Head, which is like bam, bam, bam on top of each other.
Right.
And because of the Greenwich move, and that's going to be horrible because it's going to be so much at one time, and it's going to be like, what plane am I on, and what hotel am I staying in, and what event am I at, kind of at one point. Because I judge all three of those, so or all four of those, so I judge it the three in a row. So
right.
And then it's January, and we're in Arizona, you know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, where we get to go see everybody again. So it's I love that there's so many events that are back on. I think it's good for certainly for the car hobby, but just good for people, right?
Yeah, because Carlisle. The first one I went to this year was Carlisle Import in Pennsylvania, Lance's thing, and it was just, and they people were very careful, and and it was just nice to see. It was like, wow, I'm at an event. It was like the most extraordinary experience. And after going to, when we go getting to Pebble at 5:30 in the morning, and thinking, oh, my friends are here. This is great. This is so cool.
Yeah.
I miss my European friends because I didn't. Europe was completely absent.
So
that made me very sad, but not as sad as it made them.
I had a good friend, on the subject of missing the European friends. He said, "Do you see what's missing here the most?" And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "Colored pants."
Colored pants. That's
so many of the European guys are wearing the colors, right? Different colored pants and all the, that's seen less over here. And I thought, and I looked around when we were on the field, and there's a lot more blues and grays as opposed to the bright oranges and reds and all the colors that a lot of our European friends are accustomed to wearing. So I thought that was a pretty neat observation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it seemed more relaxed too, if anything, as far as just people's behaviors and attitudes seem more relaxed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's neat. Which is the first time I've seen that, been able to say that in years. And traffic was not nearly as bad as it was.
Thankfully. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we don't ever have to worry about traffic in Auburn. That's the one thing. Obviously 100,000 people come to Auburn and invade everything that's going on here, but thankfully we're, here in the Midwest, you got a lot of areas to park. It's flat, it's easy, and you can drive right up.
And the motel, and the inexpensive motel is not $450 a night, which is really great too.
Yeah. I think the most you pay around here is $175 a night or something, probably.
Which is amazing.
And then that's an increased rate, right? For the time, they obviously take advantage, and
but you've also got the ACD Museum down the road. You've got the Studebaker Museum down the road. You've got so much stuff to do, and on top of just the standard events, you've got places to visit, which is really neat.
Correct. Yeah, you can fill your day with as much or little car stuff, car focused, car centralized stuff as you want here. So it's great, and I think now too with the internet making it so that more car guys are used to buying stuff and not having to come here. I think that you'll see in the next while. I indicated Auburn's really starting to grow, and it'll be a place where there'll be a bunch of cars that guys will be like, I'm in New Jersey, I don't need to ship a car all the way to Pebble anymore. I can ship it right down the road in Auburn, and you get the same worldwide audience, that's from all over the place. So
yeah, it's interesting. It's like I think of one of Auburn's competitors as Hershey, and people always make this pilgrimage to Hershey, and I'm like, well, have you been to Auburn? Because Hershey is just the swap meet, the show, and the auctions.
Right.
But the Auburn area's got other things, the museums themselves, just let alone just the museums, add another element to it that are not present in Hershey. Well, you've got the AACA museum, but it's the fact that the ACD museum is in the place they built the cars is really, really cool.
Oh, it's incredible. If you're a car guy, car gal, and you've never been to the ACD museum, or if you've never been to Auburn, that's a bucket list. It truly is a bucket list thing to do, just because of the sheer size and force of all the stuff that's here. It's pretty cool. I know my dad's a car guy, and I'll bet he was 60 something before he came, because he lives in Canada, and he's like, why did I wait so long to start coming to Auburn. Like, holy cow! So
yeah, I've got some other Canadian friends that are going next year because I've been telling them about it.
Yep.
From my friend Kirk, who restores in Vancouver, and a couple others.
Yeah.
I'm going to drag them down here because
yeah,
they need to see it. So
I know you got to get going to Lime Rock and everything. Love chatting with you as always. It's always good to hang out. And stay safe where you are, and I'll look forward to catching up with you again after we're all done here. We'll compare some notes for the weekend.
absolutely should, definitely. I look forward to it. Good luck this weekend. I think you're going to do great.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Stick around. We got lots more coming up on Worldwide TV.
What a doozy of a day. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Don't miss out on the auctions coming up later this afternoon at 3 o'clock. The Memorabilia Auction starts, and then I will see you right back here at 5 o'clock for the automobile auctions.